Did you get a chance to look at the smart money tracker? Is there anything sticking out to you?
I did. Not really though. Oil is
Okay.
the only clear bias, and ZAR is as well.
Yeah.
Um, so what it looks like is just kind of mixed. I'm not really sure what to look at on the smart money side, so I don't know if I can base many trades off this. Gold has just been going crazy too, so I think if I were to get long, I would wait for some kind of pullback.
Hmm.
But right now it's tough because there's not really many setups, or from what
Hmm.
I've been looking at right now. I saw you talking about Euro USD, and I was, I guess, not ready to, I guess, enter a short right away. I kind of wanted to see some more, I guess, a retracement from the lows from where it's been, because it looks like there was some sort of selling
Hmm.
exhaustion there. So waiting for another just pullback on that to enter in a trade. Um, but
Yeah, no, so Frank, we had a question in the audience, and going along with what you're saying with the Euro USD, Lyndall Jansen, which I imagine, Lyndall, you're probably an EDGEFINDER user, has a question. Says COT is more long Euro than USD. Is that a possible glitch on the EDGEFINDER? And Frank, I know this is a little bit of a complicated answer, but how can we explain that to people? So yes, long percentage is very high, 70%, if you're looking at the euro. And if you compare that again to the dollar, you might say, the US dollar is only 54%. But again, some of these other columns really matter, right? The change in short contracts, the change in long contracts, how things have developed in the last week. We take that into consideration with the scoring of the EDGEFINDER. So although, Lyndall, it does look like it is different than it used to be. If you're a regular user of the EDGEFINDER, the scoring on the COT is going to look a little bit different now. The reason is because now we are taking into account change, and we're taking into account kind of what happened in the most recent filing. So yes, the US dollar is less long in percentage form, but in the most recent reporting, take a look at the euro. There's a big increase in shorts, right? In the US dollar standpoint, there was a decrease in shorts. So Frank, is there anything you want to add
yeah,
to that to explain that concept?
so to add to this, for currency pairs, we now not just take the net positions overall, but what, like Nick said, is we take the change. So if the change in the number of long contracts is positive for one asset, that's scored into the overall. And then for the base and the quote are scored at the same time. So if the dollar gets decrease in longs, and say the euro gets an increase in longs, that will be scored for euro strength. But
Yep.
if the overall, say the overall score or the overall positions of the USD is higher than euro, then it will kind of negate it and neutralize that COT score. But
Right.
Did you know that you can watch Trader Nick live stream every morning, Monday through Friday, with guests from all around the world? Each morning, right here on the A1 Trading YouTube channel, we put on a live show where Trader Nick, along with some very special guests, go over their charts and ideas for every kind of asset. We do a live reaction to news drops and do analysis immediately following. You never know what's going to happen during one of our streams. So come be a part of the live stream community. You can find our live streaming schedule on the A1 Trading Twitter account each week, so you never miss a news event.
so not
Yeah.
only are we taking number of longs versus shorts overall, but we're taking the change week to week.
Exactly. And H Ball out points out that COT is delayed. Keep in mind there are shifts in contracts, and they will be reflected later. So H Ball, to kind of clarify, we're doing exactly that. We understand that, the net positioning of COT data can be very slow to change, but the week to week change in contracts is what we're really trying to focus in on with the newest scoring in the algorithm. And we really think that that's going to tighten up some of the scoring metrics to reflect things a little bit more accurately, right? Because if they're, just because if gold has a really high long percentage, but then in the most recent week, it had a huge increase in shorts, we want our algorithm to reflect that so that we're getting a better signal from the edge finder overall. So again, Frank and I, we are the developers of this tool together, and then we have one other gentleman who helps us on the technical side. But yeah, Frank, I would kind of agree this week in terms of just colored text. And for viewers who are newer to the show, colored text means that something was very, very bullish or very, very bearish for the previous filing. So what we can see here is Frank pointed out oil. Take a look at this. We had a big increase in long contracts, a big increase in short contracts.
Decrease.
Big decrease in short contracts. And that, of course, is a very bullish report. Think about what this is telling us in front of us, guys. We're looking at oil from what big money is doing. They're picking up more longs and they're dropping off their shorts. That's really, really bullish. So it gets a blue text here, which really kind of helps to illustrate the most important assets on the list. The other one, Frank, is the Australian dollar, which is actually kind of interesting. You had a decrease in longs here, and you had a increase in shorts. So kind of a bearish on the currency side as well.
Yeah, so maybe some Aussie shorts this week, but we'll see. The AU is pretty sold off already, but it's the same sort of, I guess, idea for most USD pairs, kind of waiting for a pullback. Like I guess right here on the 4-hour, you see some bounce from the lows. Just looks like another setup for further lows. So maybe look to short more risk on pairs.
Yeah, that could be an interesting take to keep an eye on. Someone also asked in terms of, Cedric says, that feature is interesting, but can't you just create another graph report from week to week data of COT?
Yes.
This guy right above me did exactly that.
So if you scroll down, let's pull up like US oil, for example, since we were talking about that.
Okay.
So this takes the week to week. If you scroll down a little more, this shows the positional bias. So it's literally just the longs versus shorts over time. So whenever the positions change on Friday, it logs it and gives you a percentage of, okay, where are they leaning? So if we get a positive score, that means there's more longs versus shorts, and it's just a simple subtraction from one another. So if the number is negative, then it's bullish leaning. If it's above that 0% and it's rising, you're seeing a more increasingly bullish reading. So
yep, exactly. I mean, just looking at this, Frank, this is a beautiful illustration of the purpose of looking at change, right? Because we can see, the red is going down, the blue is going up. That divergence is beautiful, because what that's telling us is that big money has been adding to their longs and dropping off their shorts. So that, to me, points a very clear picture for oil. Not to mention, we've got some fundamental news. I know that the U.S. has ceased some of its oil production. At the very same time, Saudi Arabia and Russia are still doing their thing, kind of controlling the supply of oil. And so oil is on a rocket ship to the upside right now. And congrats to anybody who's been catching that wave. Frank, I think for me, the top setup that at least I'm seeing right now is this Euro USD setup that I mentioned earlier. If price is coming in, again, I like the COT on it. I like the EDGEFINDER is giving it a -10 score, which is very rare to get that strong of a reading on the EDGEFINDER. COT is pointing bearish. You have retail sentiment, seasonal. Actually, Frank, this is a clean sweep for the bears on Euro. Everything that we use in the algorithm to score something here is pointing bearish. So kind of interesting there. Is there anything else that you're watching?
I just wanted to add to that. Up until the unemployment data for Aussie, that was a -10. So those two look very bearish to me. And I think going into CPI, it seems like, because of last time when we saw a decline in the month over month, or I think it was a year over year, right? And then the other two, core and whatever, remained the same. That was kind kind of a bullish sort of thing for the markets. But going into this, we're expecting a rise month over month and year over year, and to remain steady at core, which is the kind of like the thing that the Fed has been really worried about in the first place. So I think there's probably going to be some hawkish sort of sentiment around it, especially if we're looking at expectations of rising inflation rates and stubborn core. So I think at least for today, it's going to look more risk off than risk on. But I mean, once that number comes out, then we'll be we'll have a clearer picture of what's going on.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And another dollar cross that someone in the chat just asked about is dollar JPY. I'll pull it up here for just a second just to talk about the dollar yen. So dollar yen is another one on the EDGEFINDER that's giving us a very bullish reading. COT doesn't give us too much favor, but the rest of the indications that we look at on the algorithm are pretty bullish. So dollar yen for me is probably one that I'm more interested in being long on than short. There have been some attempts from the Bank of Japan to kind of intervene and support their currency. But with that, I still think that, we've seen this story play out for several years now. The Bank of Japan kind of throws it out there. They say like, oh, we're going to intervene with their currency. And then the market kind of tanks for a second in favor of the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen goes up, and then that move just fades. And that trend has been something that, out of the last like 5 or 6 times that they've done that, I think every single time that I've taken a trade after the Bank of Japan makes an announcement like that, going the opposite direction has worked out every time, because the Japan, again, saying like, hey, we're going to support our currency, it causes a knee-jerk reaction, but then the market kind of corrects. So for me, if they do some of the things like that, I'm actually marking up my charts to look for areas of support. So I'll give you an example. If the dollar yen were to drop, quickly down into this 144.64, it's a small size trade for me, because again, you have to be careful with a quick drop like that, jumping in front of the yen. It's a very volatile currency pair. But for me, a pullback with a calculated risk to reward on that with a small size, I don't hate that. It's in a strong upward trend overall. The dollar's really strong. As Frank is pointing out, there's kind of some risk-off sentiment in the markets that, there is actually looming recession fears. I know Deutsche Bank just put out this thing that said that, that their stance is that recession is very, very likely. And if any of those kind of concerns start to creep back up, you probably do see some strength continue to persist on the US dollar compared to other currencies. So dollar yen is an interesting one. If it does pull back bigger, again, EDGEFINDER gives us a nice confirmation, so I may look for opportunities. I do also want to mention, we talked a lot about the EDGEFINDER. We did our COT reporting here today. If you guys would like a copy of the tool, again, it is available on our website. You can also message us right here. And if you message us here while we're on the live stream, someone from our team can hook you up with a really significant subscriber discount. So message us right now if you have any interest, and somebody can answer your questions, work with you with the tool if that's something you're interested in getting a copy of. Again, Frank and I are the developers on that and have worked on it for about 1.5 years to get it to where it's at, where you guys see it on the streams now. Frank, did you want to say something else? I know you're pulling up another chart.
Yeah, I've had this gold bearish bias for some time, and it's because it can't break this sort of falling trend line. So it came up one day and completely rejected. And I stopped out of a short, and I was really upset. And then I took another short, and it came back up and stopped me at break even. So I'm trying to get my revenge on gold. But I think if price can hold itself below this line, and if it closes above, then I'll probably have a different sort of idea on it. But COT's not showing us much, and the overall trend is still down from May, so might be looking at more gold shorts this week too.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting spot that it's at too, Frank. I've got the hourly pulled up, and I mentioned it earlier in the stream. Gold looked like it was really trying to punch through that level. But as you and I talk about often, that candle shows a lot of rejection. I mean, that's a lot of sell pressure that just came in. If you think about where this candle was trading earlier on in this hour, right? Right around 9 o'clock, 9:15, this thing was breaking through highs. And this is why we, talk so much about on the streams. We talk about watching for candle closes, because look at what happened with this candle. If you had just bought the hype here, you're sitting in a pretty significant drawdown already. Whereas, wait for this candle to close was pretty impactful because again, we wicked off that. And this actually could very well, if this level kind of this upward trend breaks, you very well could see gold make its way right back down to the lows. And there it goes. I mean, it's selling off as we speak. So really interesting rejection. And it looks like that candle will close bearish. Frank, did you say you have a gold trade on?
No, not right now.
Okay.
I had one on, and then last week, like Thursday or Friday, it started coming back up with the market, like the stock market, and stopped me out at break even.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
I am looking to short again, just to catch this sort of swing from the retest at the highs. So I think I'm gonna probably look for another short soon.
Yep, cool. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, this level does not seem to want to break for the bulls, just by the nature of this candle here that we're seeing on the hourly. That's pretty significant. Let's see how it looks on the 4 hour. Same thing with the 4 hour. You can see a lot of wicks once you enter into this 1928 zone. Let's call it that. I mean, that's pretty aggressive selling each time, especially this candle. Look at this 4 hour candle. This candle right here. Huge rejection. Now it didn't continue, but it just shows how ready sellers are in this general area. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that plays out.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.